many of our customers have, and that is difficulties with their bill. And that's what they've decided. The shops don't deal with those issues. Sure they don't.
No,
Okay.
but that's only happened on one occasion.
Yeah, but you're saying the people in the shop. Whereabouts is that particular shop in Waterford?
It's in Waterford, yeah. It's part of Strand Street in Waterford.
Oh yeah, in the centre there. Well, a big shout out for the brilliant air staff in the centre of Waterford, and well done for giving Brian Morrissey that number. Thanks indeed, Brian. Joe at RT.ie.
Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815. Talk to Joe on 0818 715 815.
Air rage continues, and well, I was going to say unfortunately, but the people are there. Paddy Lyons, Paddy.
Yeah, Joe.
What happened? Let's hope the line is good, Paddy. From Paddy
the line is good, Joe. Joe, I had an air email address, okay?
Yeah.
And they put it up to $5.99, and I said no problem, I'll pay that. And they said we want to go direct debit, and I said no, I'll pay it myself, no problem. So I paid it. Then they put up again, and I kept paying it, and then they said you have to go direct debit, and then they pulled the plug. And so I as I say, Joe, I left school when the television was black and white, right?
Okay.
So I had folders on it with photographs of my grandfather, Jack Marlowe, rest him, of playing in 1901 in All Ireland final for Kilkenny in football. Right, I had photographs of me dad from Valentia Island, all in the folders. Lost a whole lot of them. So then I tried to contact them.
Oh, you lost them all?
And I said, yeah, they pulled the plug, right? So what happened then is, so then you ring them up, and they said, first thing they ask you for your account number. And then you get that number's not recognised. You know.
Okay.
So that was it. So I lost a whole lot, Joe. And this, I mean, as I said, great. I work for Air myself, doing the tree work. My brother Thomas and Jared, lad, rest them work for Telecom, and they were a brilliant company years ago when it was P&T and and Telecom and that. But now it's like Green Acres.
That's the place to be. Will you remind people what Green Acres was?
You had to go up the tree, up the pole to make the phone call, Joe. Yeah.
Who was that? Mr. Heaney, Zaza Gabor, Eddie Albert. It was the hapless little village where.
But that's what it's like now, Joe. As I say, like they were great over the years. My dad's time, not rest of my brother got me go to me out in the trees, and that they were brilliant. You know, way leaves like dropping cables. They were a brilliant company.
Yeah.
I said I worked with myself, but now it's just these people. I'd often say to these people, like if they work for themselves, they'd starve. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, if I let someone down, Joe, I wouldn't sleep.
Okay.
You know.
Well, Mr. Loom said they've 500 people answering complaints.
Yeah.
But he then says there only 27 complaints are made to Comreg every month. What are the 500 people doing?
Maybe the screenagers, though. You understand me? Glued to the screen, the phone, the kid. Screenagers, I call them, you know.
Yeah. And by the way, people say when they do get through to somebody, though the manual told us different in terms of what the staff were instructed, and the judge, remember, asked Air to apologise to their staff, not just to their customers. Okay, Paddy, God bless you. God bless you, Paddy. And sorry about those photographs are missing, Paddy Lyons.
Cheers.
Where's Leona? Leona, good afternoon.
Oh, hi, Joe. How are you?
Good. What happened? Was your aunt?
Yeah, my aunt Philomena Armstrong, she was with Air and prior companies before that. Never missed a bill or anything, right?
Okay.
91 years of age, chronic COPD, oxygen 24 hours a day. Had a personal alarm that she needed a landline for.
Okay.
The landline went down, got in touch with Air about 3 or 4 days later. Now, we did explain how important it was. Lived independently. And when they did come out, we explained she couldn't get to the door. So, like, we would ring a neighbour or her carer. But they just put a note on the door to say that she didn't answer the door. I got in, 15 minutes later, I rang them and asked them, could they get the engineer back? Stressing how important it was. They couldn't get in touch with the engineer. Then I said, well, could you get in touch with the engineer's supervisor? And they said no, they couldn't. And I said, well, what about the landline? And they just says, well, we'll come tomorrow and see what happens. And if she answers the door, we'll look after her. But that went on for 3 or 4 days.
And nothing.
Nothing. And then they did eventually come out. And then when she ended up going into hospital, we left them, right? And we went with Virgin Media, which were brilliant. So I wanted to cancel her account, but because it was on her name was on the account, they said I'd have to get her to sign it. Unfortunately, at that stage, she was in hospital and she was very, very unwell.
And remind people, you rang Air and said your aunt Philomena.
My cousin did, yeah, and then explained
that when the doorbell rang, it would take her a few minutes to get to the door.
Yeah.
And she'd no landline, so no, you couldn't ring her and say, "Will you come to the door?" Because that was the problem. So, but every time she got to the door, the poor woman, the engineer was gone.
Yeah, and like she was on oxygen, like so, like she really was, like she was very unwell. Now she lived independently and she was a brilliant woman, but all we wanted was a bit of help. So when I did ring the guy and he says, "No, we can't do anything," I've been honest with you, Joe, I was so upset I started crying. And they just said they don't have a priority list. And I did trying to explain to them, this woman lives on her own.
Yeah.
She needs this landline for her personal alarm. But no. Yeah. And then they wouldn't cancel the account until I went into the hospital and got a doctor to sign it to say that she wouldn't be in the house.
Oh, by the way, Leona, what happened when you started crying?
It just says there's nothing they could do. Absolutely nothing they could do. They couldn't put her on a priority list. Now, I felt foolish, Joe, for crying, but like if you met my aunt, like she struggled so much to breathe. You know what I mean? All we wanted was a little bit of help.
But Leona, even that image you said but the poor woman, her phone is gone. She needs her phone back. So you get onto Air. They say we'll send out an engineer. You tell them. Just to be clear about this, you tell them, by the way, Philomena lives on her own. She's of an age. She has chronic COPD. So when you knock or ring the bell, will you give her 5, 10, 15 minutes to get to the door? Yeah. She will come out. She's not gone out playing hockey. She's in the house.
Yes.
And why wouldn't you, with that image, why wouldn't you cry?
Oh, it's just anyway, it was just traumatizing. And then I did send them in a form now, like they have a contact form through their website, and I sent it in, and I did, being honest with you, a couple of weeks later I got a phone call from a girl and she just said that there is no priority list, and I explained my aunt's situation, and I did say to her, well look, if anybody ever is given the bonus for coming up with a good idea, maybe you could be the one that could just turn around and say, well, maybe we should have a priority list. Because, like, Electric Ireland, and the gas company, they have a vulnerability list, for people that maybe would need oxygen or whatever. So, like, my aunt would have been on that list, that if there was a power cut, that she would be looked after. But Air just don't seem to look after anybody.
Okay, Leona, okay. And you say to me, I see there in the bottom note, the footnote, that Philomena passed away in January. God rest her anyway.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful woman.
And she passed it down to her nieces as well and her family. Well done, Leona. Anne Lohan. Anne, good afternoon.
Hi, Joe.
Okay, what happened with Air?
Well, this is going back to 2018. I was just looking up my records and I rang in to tell people that for some people there is a way out of this. Basically, I changed provider because Air were offering a good package.
Okay.
They sent the technician along to change the broadband modem on, say, Friday. The guy never turned up, so I said, this is it. I had been with Telecom Éireann like years before. And they had given me the runaround on several occasions.
Okay.
I said, I'm not going back to Air at all. No way. So I rang up and I cancelled. I said, listen, I'm cancelling. I'm staying with the provider I'm with. So about a month later, I got a bill. And then a month later, I got a bill. The bills kept coming. I kept ringing in saying, I'm not a customer. I'm not a customer. They weren't listening. So eventually, I was coming out of a meeting one day and it was the missed call. When I rang the number, they said they were from Cabot Finance.
Oh, hello. Well, they're a reputable company. They debt collection as well, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I didn't know who they were.
Yeah, that's fine.
I thought maybe somebody had left me some money in their will or something. I don't know. But anyway, I rang them back and I said, they said, we're a debt collection. And I said, well, I've paid all my bills. I'm happy enough to be able to say that. And they said, well, there's one bill where you haven't paid. And I said, and who is that for? And they said, well, we can't give you those details until you give us your name, address and date of birth. Okay. And I said, well, I don't know who you are. You could be Jack the Ripper for all I know. I'm not giving you those details. So I got home anyway and I had a little think about it and I thought, there was a letter from Cabot on the doorstep, coincidentally, that day.
Okay.
And then I realised that, well, Air had given them personal information about me that they shouldn't have. So I got onto Comreg. By the way, I had been onto Comreg quite a few times. They were not any help at all, I'm afraid to say.
Okay.
So I thought about the personal details from Air to Cabot, and I said I'll go the GDPR route. Well, GDPR had just been brought in that May. And so GDPR, again, they couldn't grasp the fact that actually I was not a customer of Air. They kept going, well, but I stuck with it. And I stuck with my demands, and my demands are simple. I wanted a letter of apology from Air for all the trouble they had given me. I wanted a guarantee that my credit rating was not impacted by all of this messing around. And I also wanted €500 for a charity of my choice.
Okay.
Now, it took, eventually I got it. They offered 100 and I stuck to my guns. So they know they're in the wrong. But
Air passed on incorrect information to a finance company called Cabot.
Well, they
admitted that you weren't in debt. And they, as a goodwill gesture, they offered you 100, and you said no, for charity, by the way. And you said no, I want 500.
Yeah.
By the way, did they? Yeah, okay, to a charity of your choice.
They sent me a cheque for 500, which I split between Alice Leahy and the RNLI.
Well, you can't do better than that. But you can't do better than that in terms of charity. But I think they should have sent you a €500 voucher to split between Super Value and Dawn's for yourself for all the hassle. Seriously.
I was sort of sorry I didn't stick for a bit more,
Okay. Oh, well done. Well
but there
done,
is a way. There is a way.
Now we've been on to Stubbs. I just hope I don't get a letter from them. We've been on to Stubbs, and we've asked them all those questions. Like, how are you getting this information from Air? A lot of the people that are in Stubbs, according to our calls, are saying we should not be getting letters from Stubbs. We should not be getting letters from Stubbs because we're contesting the amount that, usually a very small amount, that Air say we owe. Okay, good a meal and loan Maeve. Sorry for holding you, Maeve.
Not a problem. I moved from Air to Vodafone, haven't been with Air for about 50 years.
Okay.
Because they offered me €60 a month less on two mobiles, a landline and broadband.
Right.
And that was in July last year. So I was getting bills and bills and bills from Air. And when it hit about €400, I rang them and I said, sweetie, I don't owe you any money. And they said, oh, well, this is the bill. So I rang Vodafone in case Vodafone messed up the changeover. Do you get me?
Yeah,
and Vodafone gave me a number for Air, and when I rang the number, it got me through to accounts. This nice young man. And I said, come here, not, I tell you this. I'm in my late 70s, I'm nearly 80. I won't be paying you that money because I don't owe it to you.
Okay.
And he said, we'll send a debt collector.
Oh, good luck.
And I said, well, if a debt collector comes to me, I'll say exactly the same as I'm saying to you. I won't be paying you any money. Go away and good luck to you. But what I want to say, what I'm fascinated by, is the fear they have engendered in people. Because about 20 odd years ago, I had a dispute with someone like this again over money I didn't owe.
Okay.
And he put me into Stubbs. And you know what, Joe? It didn't kill me.
Well done. Okay.
You get me?
Yes.
Do you hear what I'm saying to you? And it's that fear they're causing in
So
people.
you have no fear. And where? The fine was how much? I see 7,000 here.
But this is what I was about to say to you.
Okay.
That's an aberration in the light of the profit that Aircom is making. We have a government in this country who should be protecting its citizens.
Maeve, at the moment, how much are Air saying you owe them, if any?
Well, you see, the problem is, after I decided I wasn't paying it,
Yes.
I shredded all their bills, because now it's historical as far as I'm concerned, right?
Okay.
So I shredded everything belonged to Air. Good luck, 50 years of a relationship gone up the Swanee. And every bill that comes in, I don't open it. I put it straight into the shredder, and Air can do its worst as far as I'm concerned. because I can see my payments coming out of my bank to Vodafone since July last year. They can take me to court. Judges aren't stupid, although with that judgment you would wonder.
No, no, fairness. No, the judgment was fair. It was, a lot of people thought the judgment was very fair and very straightforward. But the judge is limited. I know people said the fine was very small, but the district court is limited in the amount they can fine. That's why we have higher courts. But anyway, and you're not worried when the bill comes in and you're making a paper airplane out of it and you're directing it at your shredder in the corner. You're not worried.
I don't even go to the trouble of opening the envelope. Well, I truly don't.
What they're doing, they say is legitimate. Let them go through the channels. Okay, Maeve, good to meet you. Josie Whelan before the break. Josie, what happened?
Hi, Joe.
What happened?
I think this was in 2021. I was a customer of Vodafone, and I got a call one day from an agent from Ayr, and he offered a better package, better price.
Yeah.
So I said to him, I don't know if I can change over. I might still be under contract.
Okay, well said, yeah.
And he said, no, he said, I've checked that out for you. He said, you're free to change over. So he arrived the next day and we signed up and everything. So the 15th of February, I would have been changing over to Ayr. So when I said to him then, do I need to ring Vodafone? No, I'll do all that. You don't need to do anything. So when I got my bill then the end of February from Vodafone, which I thought it would have been for 2 weeks, it was the month, and I rang them and I said, look, I've changed over to Ayr. And he said, no, you couldn't. He said, you're still under contract for another 6 months.
Okay.
And it was all false information, that the agent. So I rang Ayr and I explained everything, and I had the agent's phone number because it was on my phone, and I gave him the name and number, and he said, I'll be back to you by Friday, he said, and I'll sort it all out. And from that day to this, 3 years later, I've never heard a word from them. But I was able to cancel my direct debit, but I kept getting bills from them, and in the end it was nearly 500 euros eventually. And I was never a customer because I was still with Vodafone. And so in the end, then I start getting the emails from Stubbs Gazette.
Oh, for God's sake. Are you serious?
Yeah. And in the end, I rang them and I said, look, I don't owe this money. I explained to them what happened, and the girl said, well, it's your word against Ayr. Oh. And she said, what will you pay? Will you pay something? And just to get rid of it. Yeah. And I know I shouldn't have. I said, I'll pay you 50 euros. So she accepted that just to get rid of it. But I said, I'm paying you this, but I do not owe it. Well, she said, that's your word against theirs.
Oh, for God's sake. But you paid them 50 euro.
I paid them 50 euros just to get rid of it, get it off my back.
Now, that's very unfair.
Yeah. But
that's
anyway,
so unfair now for Ayr to be doing that.
Yeah.
And by the way, I presume Ayr didn't get a red cent out of 50 euro. It cost 50 euros to administer all that nonsense.
Probably a lot more, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
But they just wanted something to close the account. She said, if you pay something, we'll close it. But as I said, I don't owe it. And like I said, I feel really bad by doing this because I don't owe it. And she said, well, that's your word against theirs. So.
Okay, your word against Ayers, and that's where it's come down to over the last. Well, it's been going on such a long time in this programme, and others. It's Connor in the Irish Times have been doing it as well. It's been going on wherever people raise consumer issues. Sinead as well, and News Talk has been doing it. Okay, Josie, good to meet you, Joe at RT.ie.
Talk to Joe